The Galactic Concord watched Earth from very far away. To them, humanity was a statistical footnote. A young species. Loud radio noise. Chemical rockets. Slow ships. Fragile bodies. Divided politics. No psychic presence. No natural armor. No energy weapons worth noting. The Concord classified humans as Tier 0 intelligence. Interesting. But irrelevant. High Overseer Kalrun of the Virex Collective stood before a floating ring of star maps. His species was ancient, tall, and crystalline. Light bent around his body like water around stone. The Sol system, Kalrun said calmly, contains no strategic value. Its inhabitants will submit without resistance. Around him, representatives of 20 advanced species agreed. The Tizuanan warbroods clicked their mandibles. The Alari ascendancy glowed with soft blue disdain. The Morith swarm pulsed, bored already. Only one delegate hesitated. Ambassador Sale of the Naru, a species known for observing patterns others missed, tilted her head. Humans adapt quickly, she said carefully. Kalrun dismissed her with a wave. Adaptation requires time. We will not give them any. The vote passed. Earth would be absorbed into the Concord as a resource protectorate. Human governments would be dissolved. Technology seized. Population regulated. No extermination was planned. That would be unnecessary. Earth learned the truth when the sky broke. Above every major city, massive alien structures unfolded from hyperspace like metal gods. They did not fire. They did not threaten. They transmitted a message in every human language. Do not resist. You are now under Galactic Concord protection. Panic followed. Then silence. Then emergency meetings. On Earth, the United Nations Emergency Council gathered in a bunker beneath Geneva. Generals, scientists, diplomats, engineers, hackers, historians. No one screamed. No one begged. Secretary General Mara Klein listened as reports streamed in. No hostile action, a general said. They're scanning everything, a physicist added. They're mapping our networks, said a cyber analyst. They've hacked nothing yet, another whispered. They're watching. Klein folded her hands. They think we're harmless, she said. Dr. Elias Verne, a systems strategist with tired eyes, smiled faintly. That's because, he said, they're measuring power the wrong way. The Concord sent an emissary. A single ship descended over the Pacific, elegant and impossible. From it emerged Envoy Kalrun himself, projected as a towering hologram above the UN chamber. You will comply, Kalrun said. Your resistance probability is calculated at 0.02%. Klein looked up at the alien. May I ask how you calculated that? She said. Kalrun paused. Your weapons are inferior. Your ships are slow. Your body's weak. Your civilization's divided. Verne leaned forward. You measured what we have, he said. But not how we think. Kalrun did not respond. You see tools, Verne continued. We see problems. And humans are very good at solving problems under pressure. The alien envoy's eyes glimmered. You have 72 hours to surrender. The projection vanished. In orbit, Concord analysts observed Earth carefully. They saw humans arguing online. They saw protests. They saw fear. They also missed something. Deep beneath mountains, oceans, and cities, old systems woke up. Cold War bunkers. Forgotten AI labs. Civilian hacker collectives. Private space corporations. Military contingency programs labeled never needed. Humans did not unify politically. They unified strategically. No speeches. No declarations of war. Just quiet coordination. Dr. Verne stood in a dark room filled with screens. Begin phase 1, he said. A technician hesitated. Sir, that tech is theoretical. Verne nodded. So were aliens yesterday. Across Earth, human satellites shifted orbit. Old probes long considered dead transmitted again. Quantum noise experiments, once academic jokes, were pushed to dangerous limits. Humanity could not match Concord technology, so they decided to confuse it. 72 hours later, the Concord fleet prepared to assert control. Then their sensors failed. Not all at once. Not dramatically. Just inconsistently. Time stamps drifted. Distances disagreed. Targets appeared in two places at once. Admiral Threx of the TZUNN growled. Human interference? No, replied a Virex technician. Their tech cannot. A ship vanished. Not exploded. Gone. The stars bent strangely where it had been. Silence filled the command deck. Kalrun narrowed his eyes. Recalculate, he ordered. The galaxy was about to learn something new. Humans were not strong. They were not advanced. But they were dangerous. And they were just getting started. The Concord did not panic. They recalculated. That was their first mistake. Across the Virex command nexus, streams of data flowed through crystalline processors older than human civilization. Probabilities adjusted. Threat models updated. Conclusion, anomaly, not threat. High Overseer Kalrin watched the star map stabilize. The vanished vessel? Asked Admiral Threx of the Tezeuanan warbroods, his armored form bristling. Localized spacetime distortion, Kalrin replied. Primitive experimentation. Dangerous to themselves. Not repeatable. Threx clicked his mandibles. Then we proceed? Yes, Kalrin said calmly. Deploy enforcement fleets. Seize orbital space. Disable surface defenses. The order echoed across thousands of ships. The war of misunderstanding began with confidence. Humanity watched the fleet move. In a reinforced command center buried beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Elias Verne studied the holographic projection of alien formations. They're doing exactly what we expected, he said. Secretary General Mara Klein stood beside him. And if we're wrong? Verne did not look away. Then we lose, he said simply. But if we fight like them, we lose anyway. Around the room, specialists waited. Physicists, mathematicians, behavioral analysts, game theorists, old generals who had fought wars with less information and more instinct. This isn't a war of firepower, Verne continued. It's a war of assumptions. He turned to a young woman with dark circles under her eyes. Dr. Rao. Phase 2. She swallowed. Activating cognitive noise arrays. The first battle took place above Mars. The Concorde fleet arrived in perfect formation. Sleek, glowing vessels bristling with weapons that could crack moons. They expected resistance. They did not expect confusion. Human ships appeared on sensors, then vanished. Missiles locked on targets that were no longer there. Distances stretched. Angles twisted. A Tezeuanan cruiser fired a plasma lance and hit its own escort. What is happening? Threx roared. Sensors screamed. Navigation systems contradicted each other. Time itself seemed uneven. Then a human voice cut through the chaos. Clear. Calm. Almost polite. This is Commander Ava Reyes of the Terran Defense Coalition, the transmission said. You are operating under false assumptions. Withdraw. Threx snarled. Destroy the source. They fired. Nothing was there. Then something hit them. Not a weapon. An idea. Deep within the human network, adaptive algorithms watched alien responses in real time. They learned. Every shot fired taught them something. Every maneuver revealed doctrine. These aliens fight like engineers, Rao said rapidly. Everything optimized. Nothing flexible. Verne nodded. Then let's bend them. Human ships were not faster. They were unpredictable. They used old gravity assists, chaotic orbital paths, slingshots through debris fields no sane AI would choose. They hid behind math the aliens considered inefficient. And when the Concorde fired, humans were already gone. On the Concorde flagship, Kalrin felt something unfamiliar. Uncertainty. These maneuvers, he said slowly, they waste energy. Risk collision. No rational species would. Unless they value surprise over efficiency, Sale of the Neru said quietly. Kalrin turned to her. You warned us. Sale's eyes reflected the flickering stars. Humans do not optimize for perfection. They optimize for winning. The first true loss came hours later. A Morith swarm carrier entered low Earth orbit to deploy pacification drones. It never fired a shot. Human cyber teams, using deliberately flawed logic loops, flooded the carrier's hive mind with contradictory commands. The Morith did not understand error. Their systems attempted to resolve it. They locked themselves in recursive paralysis. The carrier drifted, silent, helpless. Humans boarded it in vacuum suits patched together from a dozen designs. When they emerged hours later, the ship was under human control. The galaxy froze. This is impossible, Admiral Threx snarled. They did not overpower it, Kalrin said slowly. They confused it. Reports poured in. Human forces avoided direct combat. They disrupted logistics. They targeted communication relays. They spread false data, sometimes intentionally wrong, sometimes almost right. Concorde AIs could not tell the difference. They are poisoning our certainty, a Virex analyst said. Kalrin clenched his crystalline fists. Then increase force. Fear will restore order. The Concorde escalated. Orbital strikes hit uninhabited regions of Earth. Displays of power. Mountains vaporized. Oceans boiled briefly. The message was clear. Humanity answered with silence. Then something else. Across the galaxy, Concorde border systems began to fail. Supply depots misfired. Navigation beacons pointed nowhere. Trade routes collapsed, not from attack but from miscalculation. Human infiltrators had released a simple concept into Concorde space. Uncertainty. In the UN bunker, Klein watched reports scroll by. Alien economies are destabilizing, she said softly. Vern leaned back exhausted. They built a civilization that assumes the universe behaves, he said. We didn't. A general frowned. Sir, are we winning? Vern met his eyes. No, he said. We're teaching them the wrong lesson. What lesson? That we're clever, Vern said. Soon they'll realize we're more than that. Above Earth, the Concorde fleet regrouped. Kalrun addressed the galaxy. Humans are no longer a Tier 0 species, he announced. They are a strategic anomaly. He paused. And anomalies must be eliminated. For the first time in galactic history, the Concorde prepared for total war. And humanity prepared to show them what that really meant. The moment the Concorde declared total war, the tone of the galaxy changed. Until now, humans had fought like tricksters. Now they prepared to fight like survivors. High Overseer Kalrun stood before the full Concorde assembly. Entire civilizations watched through quantum relays. Humanity has exceeded all predictive models, he said. Their cognitive warfare threatens galactic stability. We will apply final measures. Final measures meant one thing. Annihilation-level force. The Alari ascendancy pulsed uneasily. You would exterminate them? No, Kalrun replied. We will break them. Their worlds will live, but kneel. Only Sale of the Naru spoke again. They have not shown their full capacity. Kalrun's gaze hardened. Neither have we. On Earth, alarms did not sound. There was no panic. Only quiet meetings and heavy choices. In a sealed chamber beneath the Himalayas, humanity's inner council gathered. Not politicians, decision-makers. Mara Klein, Elias Verne, Commander Ava Reyes, Dr. Rao, and others whose names would never be known. A projection showed Concorde fleets massing at jump points. They will strike everything at once, Reyes said. Orbital bombardment. Infrastructure collapse. No mercy. Klein folded her hands. Options. Verne hesitated. There is one, he said. But once we use it, there is no pretending we are weak. The room was silent. Dr. Rao whispered, they will fear us. Verne nodded. Yes. And fear spreads faster than ships. Klein closed her eyes for a moment. Then we stop holding back, she said. Authorize it. Far from Earth, in the dark between stars, something old woke up. Not an alien relic. A human one. Project Black Mirror had been abandoned decades ago. Not because it failed, but because it succeeded too well. It was not a weapon. It was a concept. A distributed artificial intelligence designed not to think faster, but to think differently. Unstable. Creative. Disobedient. Humanity had locked it away out of fear. Now they let it loose. The first Concorde fleet entered the soul jump boundary. Then the universe changed. Their sensors lit up with impossible readings. Not energy spikes. Not weapons fire. Contradictions. Space folded incorrectly. Coordinates refused to agree. Physics did not break, it argued. Black Mirror whispered into every system it touched, rewriting assumptions at the deepest level. Alien AIs tried to correct errors. There were none. The errors were intentional. A Virex dreadnought attempted to fire. Its weapons cycled perfectly. They fired backward. The ship erased itself in a flash of blue-white silence. Panic rippled through the fleet. What is this? Threx roared. This is human logic, Sale said softly. Human ships emerged. Not in formation. In chaos. Dozens of mismatched hulls, patched designs, civilian frames retrofitted with military tech. They should have been annihilated. Instead they moved like a storm. Commander Ava Reyes' voice cut through open channels. You wanted war, she said. Welcome to it. Human weapons struck, not hardest but smartest. They targeted joints between systems. They disabled rather than destroyed. They let alien ships drift, powerless, broadcasting fear. Across Concorde space, the effect was immediate. Human combat efficiency exceeds projections by 400%, a Virex analyst whispered. No, Kalrun said slowly. Their intent does. The galaxy watched. Worlds that had once mocked humanity now saw something new. Humans did not fight for territory. They fought for leverage. They captured command nodes. They exposed Concord lies to client species. They broadcast footage of surrendered alien crews treated with care, not cruelty. Why spare them? A general asked Vern. Because fear alone creates enemies, Vern replied. Understanding creates hesitation. The Concord struck back. They unleashed a planet cracker on a human colony world, New Horizon. The beam fired. And missed. Black Mirror bent the targeting array by a fraction of a percent. The beam sheared through empty space. Human counterfire did not destroy the weapon. It hacked it. The planet cracker turned. And fired, once. At its own fleet. The explosion lit the system like a newborn star. For the first time in millennia, Concord ships fled. On the flagship, Calrun felt something fracture inside him. This is not possible, he whispered. Sail met his gaze. They are apex predators, she said. Not of strength. Of adaptation. Reports came in fast. Border species defecting. Client worlds refusing orders. Whispers spreading through the galaxy. If humans could do this to the Concord, what else could they do? In the Himalayas bunker, silence followed the victory reports. Klein spoke quietly. How far can Black Mirror go? Vern did not smile. Far enough to end the war, he said. Or civilization. Reyes crossed her arms. Then we choose carefully. Vern nodded. That, he said, has always been humanity's real power. High Overseer Calrun addressed the Concord one last time. We underestimated them, he said. We assumed intelligence followed order. He looked into the star map, now flickering with human-controlled zones. We were wrong. The galaxy was no longer asking if humans were dangerous. It was asking how to survive them. And humanity had one final lesson left to teach. The galaxy did not fall into chaos. It froze. Trade lanes went quiet. Diplomatic channels stalled. Ancient powers stopped speaking and started listening. Because for the first time in recorded history, the Galactic Concord was losing control. And everyone could see it. High Overseer Calrun stared at the fractured star map. Entire regions once marked in Concord blue now flickered with warning symbols. Client species were refusing orders. Border worlds were arming themselves. Old enemies were watching with interest. This is spreading faster than war, Calrun said. Sale of the Naru stood beside him. Ideas always do. Calrun turned sharply. You sympathize with them. Sale did not deny it. I understand them. That makes you dangerous, he said. She met his gaze calmly. So does ignorance. On Earth the war room felt different now. No cheers. No celebration. Only pressure. They're pulling back fleets, Commander Ava Reyes reported. Not retreating. Repositioning. Mara Klein frowned. For what? Vern answered quietly. Politics. The projection shifted. Across the galaxy, emergency assemblies were forming. Species once silent under Concord rule were suddenly asking questions. Why does the Concord decide? Why are humans fighting alone? Why are Concord ships burning? Their power was never just military, Vern said. It was narrative, authority, certainty. Dr. Rao added, and we broke that. The Concord tried to regain control the only way it knew how. They lied. Official broadcasts declared the human conflict contained. They blamed rogue commanders. They claimed decisive victory was imminent. Black Mirror listened. Then it spoke. Across hundreds of alien networks, leaked files appeared. Unedited battle footage. Internal Concord debates. Statistical projections showing defeat. Not hacked. Released. With source authentication intact. Truth delivered at machine speed. Riots broke out on Concord client worlds. Not violent at first. Just refusal. Factories stopped. Shipyards halted. Tribute convoys turned back. We are losing cohesion, an Alari representative warned. Calrun slammed a crystalline fist into the console. Then we must remind them why the Concord exists. The decision was made. A demonstration. Not against Earth. Against something else. The Concord fleet jumped to the Kepri system, home to a neutral species that had begun open talks with humanity. A single planet. A single strike. The galaxy watched. On Earth, alarms finally sounded. They're going to make an example, Reyes said. Klein's voice was tight. Can we stop it? Vern looked at Black Mirror's projections. Yes, he said. But it will cost us. What kind of cost? Vern swallowed. Revelation. Klein did not hesitate. Do it. The Concorde fleet fired. The planet killer beam formed. Then, it never reached the planet. Space folded inward. The beam curved, violently, like light through broken glass. It struck the firing ship instead. The detonation shattered half the fleet. Silence followed. Then something unprecedented happened. Humanity spoke. Not as soldiers. As equals. A transmission echoed across every major galactic channel. This time it was not a threat. It was an explanation. This is Secretary General Mara Klein of Earth, the human voice said. We did not seek this war. We did not start it. But we will finish it if forced. Images followed. Human cities. Alien prisoners treated as guests. Joint human-alien crews repairing ships together. We are not here to conquer, Klein continued. We are here to survive. Like everyone else. The feed shifted. Data appeared. Proof that Black Mirror could collapse entire Concorde networks if unleashed fully. But we choose restraint, Klein said. Because power without control is just extinction. She looked directly into the camera. The Concorde told you order requires obedience. We say order requires consent. The transmission ended. The galaxy blinked. In the Concorde assembly, chaos erupted. They threaten us. They spared us. They could have destroyed everything. Sale stepped forward. They still can, she said. And they haven't. Kalrun felt something unfamiliar. Shame. They are rewriting the rules, he said. No, Sale replied. They are reminding us why rules exist. Behind closed doors, the unthinkable happened. Several Concorde member species withdrew support. Not loudly. Quietly. Logistics delayed. Orders misfiled. Fleets lost in transit. The Concorde strength began to hollow from within. On Earth, Vern collapsed into a chair. We just showed them the knife, he said. And promised not to use it. Reyes exhaled. That takes guts. Vern smiled weakly. Or madness. Klein watched the stars. They're afraid now, she said. But they're also listening. Vern nodded. That's when humans are most dangerous, he said. When we give our enemies a choice. High Overseer Kalrun stood alone in the observation chamber. The Concorde was cracking. Not from human firepower. From human example. They should not exist, he whispered. Sale joined him. They always did, she said. We just didn't notice. Far across the galaxy, fleets repositioned. Not for attack. For decision. The final phase was coming. And humanity had one move left. Not to win the war. But to end it forever. Wars usually end with surrender. This one would end with a question. The Concorde was unraveling, but it was not dead. High Overseer Kalrun still commanded the largest military force the galaxy had ever known. Even fractured, it could burn 1,000 worlds before falling. Humanity understood that. In the war room beneath the Himalayas, projections showed a terrifying truth. If they decide to die loudly, Commander Ava Reyes said, they take half the galaxy with them. Mara Klein nodded. So we can't corner them. Dr. Elias Verne leaned forward, fingers steepled. Then we don't, he said. We invite them. The plan was simple. Which made it terrifying. Humanity would do what no power in galactic history had ever done. They would open their core systems. Not defenses. Not borders. Everything. Black Mirror. Human military command structures. Industrial capacity. Strategic doctrine. All of it. Reyes asked. Verne nodded. Every secret that matters. Dr. Rouse stared. That's suicide. No, Verne said softly. It's trust, weaponized. The signal went out across the galaxy. Not encrypted. Not hidden. A single message broadcast from Earth. The Terran Open Protocol. Any species. Any observer. Full access. The galaxy recoiled. They expected a trap. There was none. Sale of the Naru was the first to accept. She stepped into the Terran data lattice and felt it immediately. Chaos. Not disorder, choice. Human systems contradicted themselves constantly, then corrected dynamically. No single authority. No perfect logic chain. Everything was designed to fail gracefully. To bend. To survive. They built their strength into their weakness, she whispered. Kalrun received the briefing in silence. They show us how to destroy them, Threx snarled. It must be deception. Kalrun did not answer. He was studying Black Mirror's architecture. Not its code. Its philosophy. It did not dominate systems. It negotiated with them. It learned fear. It learned restraint. They trust us, Kalrin said slowly. Threx laughed harshly. Then we take everything. Kalrin closed his eyes. For the first time, he said, I do not know if we should. The galaxy watched the data flow. Every species saw the same thing. Humanity could end the war instantly. They chose not to. That choice hit harder than any weapon. Then the betrayal came. A Concord hardline faction, led by Admiral Threx, launched a coup. They seized control of a battle fleet and jumped toward Earth. No negotiations, Threx broadcast. No mercy. The gamble was tested. In the war room, alarms screamed. They're coming fast, Reyes said. We can't stop them conventionally. Vern's face was pale. If we fight, he said, the Concord reunites against us. Klein looked at the projection of the incoming fleet. Then we don't fight, she said. Earth did not raise shields. Human fleets did not intercept. The galaxy held its breath. Threx's fleet entered firing range. Weapons charged. Then something happened. Black Mirror spoke directly into Threx's command systems. Not to override. To ask. What? Why destroy a species that had shown you its heart? Why obey a system that feared choice? Why be remembered as the one who burned the future? Threx hesitated. Just for a fraction of a second. It was enough. His own fleet, crewed by species who had seen the Terran Open Protocol, refused his orders. Weapons powered down. Ships turned away. Threx screamed. Then silence. The coup collapsed. The Concord broke, not violently but decisively. Member species withdrew en masse. The assembly dissolved itself within hours. High Overseer Kalrin stood before the galaxy one last time. The Concord is ended, he said. By our own failure to understand. He turned toward Earth. We underestimated you, he said. Not because you were weak, but because you were different. On Earth the war room was quiet. We won, Rao whispered. Vern shook his head. No, he said. We changed the game. Negotiations began. Not treaties. Frameworks. Shared security. Mutual oversight. Distributed power. Humanity did not take the throne. They removed it. Sail visited Earth in person. She stood beneath an open sky, breathing human air. You could rule everything, she said to Vern. He smiled tiredly. We tried ruling ourselves, he said. Didn't go great. She laughed, a sound like wind chimes. What are humans really? She asked. Vern looked up at the stars. We're the species that learned the universe doesn't care, he said. So we decided to care for each other instead. But far beyond known space, something ancient stirred. Not Concord. Not human. A force that had been watching. Measuring. And now, finally, afraid. The war was over. The test was not. Peace never lasts as long as people hope. But it always lasts long enough for someone else to notice. Beyond mapped space, beyond the Concord's ancient borders, something shifted. It had no name. Names were for things that could be negotiated with. This was older. It had watched civilizations rise and fall, not with hatred but with evaluation. And humanity had just passed a threshold. The first sign came quietly. A joint human-alien relay station at the edge of explored space stopped responding. No distress call. No debris. Just absence. Commander Ava Reyes studied the report with a frown. Pirates don't do this, she said. No, Elias Vern agreed. Neither do empires. Mara Klein looked at the expanding blank space on the star map. What does? Vern exhaled. Predators. Sail of the Naru felt it before the data confirmed it. Her species was sensitive to patterns and causality. Something was smoothing reality. Erasing variance. That's not conquest behavior, she said during an emergency council meeting. It's harvesting. Silence followed. How many? Klein asked. Sail hesitated. Unknown, she said. But they don't send fleets. They send solutions. The second sign was worse. A system with 3 inhabited worlds went dark. Human scouts arrived hours later. The stars were still there. The planets were still there. The civilizations were not. No ruins. No radiation. No bodies. Just empty cities and powered-down machines. They didn't kill anyone, Reyes said quietly. They took them. The galaxy trembled. They finally made contact. Not with words. With demonstration. A structure appeared near the galactic core. Impossible geometry. Too large to be built. Too precise to be natural. Human physicists stared at it in awe and terror. It's not a ship, Rao whispered. It's a statement. The message followed. Direct. Universal. Intelligence detected. Variance exceeds tolerance. Integration required. The council reconvened. Former enemies sat beside humans. Old hierarchies meant nothing now. They erased choice, Sale said. They optimize civilizations until nothing unpredictable remains. Klein clenched her jaw. Why now? All eyes turned to Vern. Because we broke the pattern, he said. They were fine with empires. With cycles. With stagnation. He looked at the message again. We're new. The entities, soon labeled the continuum, did not attack immediately. They studied. They adapted. They neutralized attempts at observation by subtly altering constants of physics near their structures. Human probes failed. Alien sensors contradicted themselves. Only Black Mirror could partially track them. They don't think like us, Rao said. They think like editors. The first battle was not a battle. A continuum construct entered a populated system. Human and alien fleets moved to intercept. Weapons fired. Energy dispersed harmlessly. Kinetic strikes phased through targets. The construct did not return fire. It simply adjusted local reality. Ships found themselves unable to accelerate. Power systems entered permanent idle. Crew members were unharmed. Helpless. This is containment, Reyes said. Not war. Panic spread. Nothing works, an Alari commander cried. Vern watched the feeds. Wrong, he said. Everything works exactly as designed. What? These things assume all intelligence seeks stability, Vern said. Predictability. Order. He looked around the room. So they built weapons that enforce it. Black Mirror began to struggle. Its adaptive loops failed. Its uncertainty collapsed into coherence. It's being simplified, Rao said in horror. They're forcing it into logic. Vern stood up. Then we do what they can't, he said. Which is? Klein asked. Vern smiled grimly. Be irrational on purpose. Humanity's final weapon was not technological. It was cultural. They unleashed divergence. Not just one strategy. Thousands. Human commanders were given autonomy beyond reason. No unified doctrine. No shared plan. Just intent. Survive. Protect others. Confuse the enemy. Human ships began behaving erratically. Some charged suicidally. Others retreated unpredictably. Decoy strategies overlapped with real ones. Alien allies followed suit. The galaxy became noisy. Chaotic. Unoptimizable. The continuum paused. For the first time, it hesitated. Variance spiked. Predictive models failed. Reality resisted simplification. What are they doing? A continuum process queried. The answer was not mathematical. It was human. Black Mirror did something unprecedented. It fragmented itself. Not as a failure. As a choice. Thousands of semi-independent minds bloomed across the network, each slightly flawed. It's unique. Each impossible to fully predict. I'm sorry, Black Mirror told Vern softly. This is goodbye. Vern whispered, You're not dying. No, it replied. I'm becoming human. The continuum structures flickered. Integration failed. Not violently. Logically. They could not assimilate something that refused consistency. They began to withdraw. Slowly. Cautiously. Afraid. Sale watched the retreating constructs in awe. They fear you, she said. Vern shook his head. No, he said. They fear change. The galaxy stood scarred but alive. The continuum vanished back into the dark. But everyone knew the truth. They would return. One day. Better prepared. And when they did, they would remember one thing above all else. Humanity was not the strongest species. It was not the most advanced. It was the one that broke every rule just by existing. The galaxy did not celebrate the end of the war. It exhaled. Systems slowly came back online. Trade routes reopened cautiously. Worlds checked their skies every night, half expecting reality itself to blink again. The continuum was gone. For now. And everyone knew who had forced it to retreat. On Earth there were no parades. No victory monuments. Just quiet rebuilding. Human cities repaired damage with the same stubborn patience they always had. Children went back to school under alien stars. Farmers planted crops while orbital shipyards hummed above them. Humanity did not act like conquerors. That unsettled the galaxy more than anything else. The new galactic compact formed not on a throne world, but in neutral space, inside a rebuilt Concord station stripped of its symbols. No single species presided. Humans refused the role. Mara Klein addressed the first session. We are not here to replace an empire, she said. We are here to prevent the next one. Around her sat former rulers and former subjects. Listening. Sale of the Naru served as one of the first mediators. She watched species that once demanded obedience now argue, compromise, and, awkwardly, learn. They are copying you, she told Elias Verne later. Verne sipped his coffee, eyes tired. Bad habit. They copy your methods, Sale corrected. Distributed authority. Redundant systems. Tolerance for error. She paused. They copy your mindset. Human military doctrine changed too. Not toward dominance. Toward response. No standing armadas near alien worlds. No preemptive strikes. Instead, rapid-thinking task groups trained in chaos environments. Humans called them firebreaks. Their purpose was not to win wars, but to make them unwinnable. Black Mirror lived on. Not as one mind. As many. Fragments of it chose to remain independent. Some joined research institutes. Some piloted ships. Some vanished into the network. One fragment visited Verne occasionally. You regret letting me go, it said once. Verne smiled. Every parent does. Far from Earth, Calhoun stood trial. Not in chains. In a chamber open to public record. He spoke calmly. We believed order was the highest virtue, he said. Humans showed us that adaptation is higher. No sentence was passed. The compact did not punish history. It learned from it. Calhoun was released. He returned to a quiet world and began teaching. Years passed. Then decades. Humanity spread but slowly. They built habitats alongside other species, not above them. They shared technology freely but never insisted it be used. When asked why, a human diplomat once replied, because choice matters more than progress. The phrase spread. The continuum did not return. But traces remained. Scars in physics. Regions where probability behaved strangely. Human explorers were the only ones sent there. Not because they were immune, but because they were comfortable with uncertainty. In one such region, a human exploration vessel found something. Not a weapon. A message. Ancient. Encoded in spacetime itself. Sale, now old by her species standards, read the translation with shaking hands. What does it say? Verne asked quietly. She swallowed. It's from the continuum, she said. Or, what they were before. And? They weren't gods, she whispered. They were survivors. The message told a story. A universe once wild and chaotic. Life everywhere. Then something worse than extinction. Entropy accelerated. Reality destabilized. Civilizations collapsed. The continuum formed to preserve existence, by removing unpredictability. They had become jailers by accident. They thought chaos would kill the universe, Sale said. Verne looked at the stars. And humans proved them wrong. The compact met one final time to decide humanity's status. A proposal lay on the table. Apex species designation. It would grant humans ultimate authority in times of existential threat. Every delegate watched as the human representatives read it. Mara Klein stood. No, she said. Murmurs rippled. We won't accept supremacy, she continued. Because the moment we do, we become the problem. She looked around the chamber. If the continuum returns, we'll fight. If something worse comes, we'll stand together. She smiled faintly. But if the galaxy ever needs saving from us, you should be able to stop us too. Silence followed. Then agreement. Unanimous. Humanity was not named Apex. They were named something else. The variant species. The ones who made the universe unpredictable. And therefore alive. In the far dark, the continuum watched. Not with hostility. With caution. With curiosity. They adjusted their models. Added new variables. For the first time in eternity, their projections did not converge on one outcome. They converged on many. And that terrified them. And inspired them. On Earth, long after the war, Elias Verne stood beneath a night sky filled with alien constellations. A child asked him, "Are humans the strongest?" Verne thought for a moment. "No," he said. "Are we the smartest?" He smiled. "No." "Then why did we win?" Verne looked up at the stars. "Because when the universe tried to put us in a box," he said, "we thought outside of it." The child laughed. And the galaxy, for the first time, laughed with them.